Hey, Ashley, I don't know if it's something wrong on my end, but I can't hear anything.
Sarah?
Sorry,
There we
Sarah.
go.
I had you muted because we weren't started yet.
It's a mutiny. I thought I wasn't, Okay, good. Just checking.
Well, I guess everybody's present at 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First thing is the pledge of allegiance. That remains standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, first thing is approval of agenda. Additions, corrections. Where are we gonna put Judd in that here? Did I miss? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay.
I don't believe that Larry's gonna be here, but if he decides to pop in the Zoom, fit him in at some point.
All right. Somebody make a motion to approve the agenda then?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Someone second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I oppose, motion carried. Approval of the minutes. I take it the corrections is about the president.
Yeah. And survey and yeah.
I
mentioned that spell check and grammar check on that one.
see that. Yep. Anybody else with anything? If not, somebody make a motion to approve.
So move.
Someone second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Approval of the bills.
Only
Questions?
I had was, it seems like there's a little bit of commingling in our bills. It looks like, I'm not sure. Vernon Center and Yonko. I'll make sure those are all separated.
Hoping that there's somebody could straighten that out a little bit.
Yeah, there's not a ton of information.
Yeah, not very clear. I agree.
Jake and I spoke a little bit about those and I think that the Yonko bills to get them all sorted out because the addresses are not what they should be. Essentially, you're gonna have to go measure everything and see how much yards here and there for everything.
Yeah, I think the whole Yonko bill is getting paid by the city now. When it's all said and done, each person that had something done will have to have that measured out, right? Sorted off and reimburse the city for driveways, steps, walkways, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just figured it was, well, I mean, when you get a load, you just can't pour a step.
Yeah.
So you get it, I just told him, I said, the best way is just to pour them, go back and measure them all, be able to take a pretty fair estimate. And then the city will have to bill in people individually for steps and the retaining wall probably is all the city's dollar, right?
Well, it's only so much. We agreed to a price when, didn't we?
There's contracted price on the sidewalk. That was a 2-year-old price and the scope changed quite a bit too.
I mean to charge the citizen. The charge back.
For the retaining wall?
I mean,
Sidewalk.
the project, the
Yeah.
sidewalk project was going to cost so much to each household.
Yeah.
That's already been predetermined,
Yep.
Yes.
right? We've seen that last couple of months ago or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so it really doesn't make any difference. For that part of it, they're only gonna be charged what their invoice said they'd be charged
Mhm.
2 years ago. years ago.
You're just thinking that the retaining wall, because of next year, the city's gonna pick that up because it changes.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do there? I mean, the west portion there on the south side had a foot of it covered up over the years because of the bank just
Yeah.
settling down.
I've seen that, yeah.
Gyms had the same thing. Where there wasn't a retaining wall, the sidewalks got covered up.
So my
So,
point is, doesn't make any difference. The householders are only gonna pay what they said they were gonna pay.
Yeah, you
City
mean,
will pick up the rest,
okay.
I guess is my point.
All right,
Because there is no, I mean, there was no leeway in those notices to them saying.
Yeah.
That could be more. It said it would be this much.
yeah,
With the exception of your driveway.
Yeah, I had my driveway
Yeah.
and my patio, so that's an extra, obviously.
And you said that way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right way.
Right.
You said that.
This made sense while they were here.
Yeah,
well, then like the neighbor to Jim's north, they didn't have a walkway from their back door to the sidewalk. We put one of them in there for them too. How do you think that should be?
that would be theirs, in my opinion.
Because, you know, they didn't have a hard surface from the sidewalk to the curb portion.
Okay, that's a new deal. That's different. That's like his driveway.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, okay. Because there was what, 1, 2, 3, 4 people with steps, that extra little pad out there. And yeah, we're just, when he's done, we'll have to go look at all of it, measure it up, you know, to get that cost.
Oh, the little extras.
Yeah, the extras.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Mm.
that they wanted done extra, like your driveway.
How about the
Sidewalks.
county's portion there? Did he come up with just a dollar figure?
Mariano,
No, the county, Chad, that time.
it was,
Just a-
it was my understanding that everything 1,000 over, we would split city and county. 1,000 and under, the county pays for it. That's what he verbally told me.
Okay,
And I haven't heard from him since we started getting into this.
all right. So, yeah, I guess when it gets down to it, yeah, he'll have to go over and remeasure, just draw it out on paper, exactly. Just put the yardage and the labor and the cement costs in there for each individual. Was there others there, Jim? I haven't found any bills in my packet.
There's one thing on there from Vernon Center, and I don't know if it's from the gas station or if materials got commingled and they needed to be replaced. Some chairs and some expansion.
I already paid the Vernon Center bill, and was it $202 or $3?
Yeah, it's 200 and 290. I took that one down to Robert.
Okay, I
I already paid that whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that
So
one.
it's all paid, but it's it's commingled,
yeah, it just, it looked, you know,
because I have 300 re-rod there, and I seen them going across the lot today to the retaining wall. Whoops.
so the piles over on the other lot that they're supposed to be pumping.
Well, that, he was gonna buy that because we were done, but now he wanted to put another little bit of down on that bottom row there, so. Yeah, I'm just gonna ask him how many he got, because I seen him get 3 today, and we'll go from there. They're $10 a rod now. Re-rod,
Yeah.
so. All right, anything else on the bills? Questions? If not, somebody make a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Someone second? All in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
opposed, motion carried. Judge Schultz is here.
Good evening, everybody. I was here tonight to give you an update on rental inspections. I just want to clarify MVAC's role in this, and then I want to talk about just an approach. I think you need to go back and look at your ordinance for some odd situations. And then just sort of where we're at. And then also, it was requested that I talk about the availability of maybe writing some grant funds, even particularly for those rental property owners. So MVAC's role in your rental inspections is we are your rental inspector. So we're going out inspecting the properties. They're on that 2-year calendar. And if property doesn't pass, we talk to them, we provide them with the information, we tell them what they need to do, and then they get back to us and we'll re-inspect so that we can pass the property. If we have somebody that's not compliant, either refuses to get a rental license or doesn't fix up their property, then that becomes a civil issue and the city is basically going to be responsible for dealing with that. So you're going to work with your city attorney and they're going to start writing a bunch of letters and like, and that This is a civil matter since it's a city ordinance, so those would end up in civil court if they need to go that far. But our role is to do the inspections, make sure the properties meet those requirements, work with the landlord if they're not meeting those requirements, and doing the re-inspections, and then communicating with the city if there's an issue and somebody's not doing that. So that's sort of our role. And like I say, enforcement, this is the tough area in these types of ordinances when you get to an enforcement situation. Because you do need to sort of follow. I just say if you have a situation that's going to turn into an enforcement situation, I suggest you get your city attorney involved right away. And they're going to start writing letters and follow that chain. You can talk to your friends in Mapleton about their civil actions they've had with, it's not a rental situation, but what they've had to do with a property that was a nuisance. So it's sort of along those lines. A nuisance property is sort of that process where it requires multiple notifications before you actually take it to court. But hopefully we can avoid that. Hopefully people will understand that they don't want to do that. But the one thing I do, a couple odd situations we have run into regarding whether or not it's a rental situation or not, I think probably this would be a good time to just go back as a group and review that rental ordinance. Maybe bring in the entity that wrote it for you and just review it and take a look at it and really look at what constitutes that rental, what makes the property a rental. A lot of times people are going to say, well, there's a lease and somebody's paying me. Well, but could it be a rental if it's just somebody letting somebody live there? So I think you need to review your ordinance and clarify that, make some decisions on what you want to do. So I think that's one thing I would recommend you do. And then if whatever changes are made, then we can go back to some of those situations and then work with those property owners again. The other thing that people sometimes confuse is they'll say, well, yeah, I'm renting it, but I'm renting it to a family member, so it's homesteaded, so I don't have to have a rental license. The whole homesteading of property taxes is separate from the rental ordinance. That's simply Minnesota allows you to get a tax break if you're renting your property to a relative. That has nothing to do with your rental ordinance. So your rental ordinance is still in play in those situations. Even if somebody is renting to a relative and getting that tax break, doesn't matter. They still have to abide by your rental ordinance. So, but I think it's probably a good time if you haven't reviewed that ordinance in a while, because you had it out there now for about, I don't know, is it 4 years? 4 or 5 maybe years. So I would suggest going back and reviewing it and pay particular attention to what constitutes a rental property and see if you need to make changes there and think about that. Other than that, we're doing pretty good. We've got a bunch here that are coming up on that 2-year rotation. Probably in the last couple months, they've met their 2 years. So we're reaching out to them, and my staff, Mariah, will be scheduling those inspections. I want to say the vast majority of your properties are in good shape and your landlords are doing a good job taking care of them. We haven't had any issues. And if things have had to been fixed, they're fixed quickly and they're generally pretty minor. We only have a couple properties that are having some issues, and we need to circle back to them and see if they've made their repairs. One of them is sort of a difficult one. So your requirements for the property are really based on Section 8 guidelines as far as what constitutes those inspections, what constitutes those minimal property requirements. But we have one that's sort of in a tough place, and it might be an undue hardship to force the improvement that we think should be done. So I'm going to go back and do some research on that one to see if we have that in a Section 8 property, if we could come up with an exception. So we'll work with the landlord on that. But generally your properties are all in pretty good shape, and landlords are compliant. What we'll do is we'll get these inspections done. We'll send the updated list to Ashley so she has that of record, and then we'll go from there. But all in all, I think generally your landlords are complying, they're paying attention. It's just you got a couple weird situations out there that are they rentals or not, and I think you need to just sort of really review that ordinance and make some decisions as to what really constitutes that. That rental situation. Does it have to include money? Does it, or does it not? Does it, you know, do you have to have a written lease or not? You know, what does that mean? So I would suggest you do that, and then we can go on from there.
To that question, Judd, I mean, is that, which way do towns normally go? Or to that question that you just brought up, which way do towns normally go?
I would assume most towns that have a rental ordinance probably have, I'm assuming there's a contractual relationship. I'm assuming there's a lease, there's consideration being made. What is that consideration? Is it a monthly lease payment, or is it you can live here, but you're gonna pay the utilities, so that could be considered the lease payment? So generally, there's a contractual relationship. But that would be that's what I say, go back and review what your ordinance says, and then bring in, was it the Minnesota or the Council of Governments group serving this area that help you write that, so get them involved too, and they might have some actual experience with that. But you just got a couple funky situations that right now, I don't know if you can call it a rental. I don't know if you can make them a rental license. So that's the key there. So I just want you to review that, make sure you got all your bases covered for what you wanna do with that. Once again, when communities talk to me about the rental license or a rental ordinance, I make sure and always caution them that rental ordinances are always, the burden's gonna be on your landlords, your property owners. It is not on the tenants. Oftentimes, this conversation will come up because there's some, maybe some nefarious tenants in town, and people think that they can use a rental ordinance to get rid of them. A rental ordinance is about landlords keeping their property in good shape, and doing their due diligence when they're reviewing an application for rental. That means doing background checks, checking to see if they've paid rent, you know, checking references and the like. So a rental ordinance really falls on the landlord and them doing their job, rather than designed to protect the town from tenants. So that's sort of the one thing I always caution communities when they're looking at that. But the hardest part of the rental ordinance is when you get into those situations where you may need to do enforcement action. So Winnebago has had a rental ordinance for a while, so maybe they would be a community just to ask some questions on. So
How many rental areas, how many rental houses do we have that you look at?
my list is actually fairly short. I have 21, but I know there's been some change of property, and I don't know if those sales kept it in rental or not. So that's something we'll be, once we redo these inspections, we'll get the list to Ashley, and then you can review that and tell us if there's change in orders or not. You have lots of landlords with multiple properties, and you have a couple big properties. So you have the Timberbrook, which 2 big units.
Yeah, you review, what do you look at when you into a commercial, a renting situation?
There's still a unit, so section 8, you know, those section 8 guidelines apply to those larger units, so we look at each unit individually. Each unit has to meet those safety standards and those minimal guidelines, and then the common areas also need to meet that. So we go not only through each individual unit, but we walk through the entire building, and they need to meet all those requirements. So it's no different than walking through a single family home. It's just same requirements apply. It's just in those properties, the units are a little smaller, but they have a common area that also needs to meet that.
So
Those minimal standards.
if apartments aren't section 8, what guidelines do they go by then?
Well, that's what we're using. Basically,
Oh, you use
your
that.
ordinance is written basically using those section 8 guidelines.
Okay.
A lot of communities use that. They don't. Maybe a bigger community like Fairmont or Mankato will develop their own requirements, but that's really hard, because if somebody goes in and section 8 approves a unit, now you come in with a more restrictive policy and kick it out. That generally doesn't work very well for anybody involved. So I think a lot of those rental ordinances are probably following those minimal property standards. So you're going in, do you have screen on at least one window in each room? Do the windows operate properly? Meaning, do they stay up by themselves? Look for chipped and peeling paint, especially if we know there's a young child in that unit. Doors operate properly. Do you have the required smoke and CO detectors? Like, you know, is the plumbing and electrical, no bare wires, no leaks in the plumbing, things like that. So functioning bathrooms. So it's pretty minimal stuff. When I get a landlord that sort of bucks me on it, I just look at them and say, would you live in this unit the way it is? I mean, really, it's just about providing a decent place to live. And if the landlord can't say they would live there, then I'm like, well, then we got some issues. We need to work with this. So, but they are pretty minimal. It's not hard to meet them. And as we do these inspections, we'll point out things to the landlords that just say, okay, here's some things that you need to be aware of that could be an issue if you don't address it. A lot of that is, most of the time, is going to be the chipped and peeling paint, where if it's not real bad right now and you can address it now, you'll pass the next time. But if you get past the certain de minimis on area, then it's a bigger issue. So.
I mean, entry steps and the sidewalks and all that to these properties have to be in good repair, don't they?
Yeah, if you're up 3 risers, you need a handrail. You know, if it's 3 steps up, you need a handrail. We look for those steps and sidewalks if they have large cracks or tripping hazards is what you're really looking for. And that'd be the same thing with flooring in the home. If it's in rough shape, if you got carpet that's torn and ripped up and creates a tripping hazard, those are things that have to be taken care of. So, but it's more along the lines of that health and safety type.
So if you inspect properties and they have a lot of junk laying around, does that fall in under anything you do?
Yep, when we go in and look at these properties, so we look at 2 ways. We look at the property and what are the things that are responsibility of the landlord. And we also look at the properties and what's the responsibility of the tenant. So if we walk into a unit and it's turning into a hoarder situation, we will fail that property initially and give the tenant time to clean it up. So that can happen too. So there's both landlord and tenant responsibilities, but we address those situations where they're the very generous rule of thumb is, can you clean up this room in 3 hours? And if you can clean that, if we look at it and determine, yeah, somebody could clean this room up in 3 hours, we won't necessarily cite it, but we will recommend to them that this can't look like this the next time we come back. But we've run into it where you walk into a place and it's like, there's no way they can clean this room in 3 hours. And you look at each room that way. So.
But on the outside, say they have 24 car tires sitting around on the property.
We will tell them they need to clean that up because that's probably a nuisance for the city anyways. That probably violates your nuisance ordinance. So.
Okay. And the cars that they don't drive that are abandoned?
I would say you probably have a city ordinance for that. So that would probably come underneath that.
Seems like every time we tell the law enforcement people to go do that, the judges don't do nothing, throw it out.
Yeah, that's the problem with enforcing city ordinances. I'll tell you right now, that is the hard part.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to stay with it because it does get frustrating and you end up spending a lot of time and money. And then if you do win the case, like in Mapleton, well, then they spent time and money having to clean up the issue and store it. And the property went right back to the way it was. So that's the way it is. Really what you need in those situations, you need the surrounding property owners to sue that property owner for them bringing down their value. And nobody ever does that. But I think if that would happen once, that would probably be the best thing that could happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if I have
even though they would sue the owner, even though that's a rental?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or why not?
Okay.
I mean, well, even just when you're taking enforcement action on those ordinances, you can do it again and again and again and again and again. And if the person, you know, like the case in Mapleton with the nuisance property, they spend the money to clean it up, store the stuff, pay somebody to do that, and then within a year, it's back the way it looked. And then they have to go through the process all over again. And if those neighbors around that property would get together, hire a lawyer and sue that person, that's going to have more of a financial impact on that person than the city bailing them out all the time. So, I mean, they can put it on taxes, but if they're not taking care of their property, they might not be paying their taxes either. So now you got to wait 7 years.
Takes a while.
Yeah, believe me, we know all about it.
So, but that is, like I say, that's the tough thing. So really what we want to avoid is any of those enforcement actions. So working with working with the property owners on the inspection, like I say, you really have good property owners. The majority who really do care and are concerned and are doing what they need to do. And I think we can get the couple we have some issues with. I think we can get them there. And then the other thing is just, like I say, reviewing that ordinance and what really is a rental situation and clarify that for everybody involved. And then to see if there's situations, those couple of weird situations we have. Maybe they're rentals, maybe they're not. It just depends on what that advice is when you review that rental ordinance.
Is the landowner or the property owner there with you when you're inspecting them?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the property owners or a representative of them is there when we do those inspections.
Mhm.
If not, it's the tenants there. Sometimes it's both. So
Okay.
How much is that inspection fee? And do you anticipate an upcharge in the next years or so?
I think it's $75 per unit for 1 to 2 properties. And if it's like 3 or 4, it's $50 after that. And then for Timberbrook, we basically cut them a little bit of a break because if we charged them that rate, it would be like $3,000 or $4,000. So I just cut that break because we can do those pretty quickly. But for a single family home, $75 every 2 years, that's not a big cost.
And then they pay $25 to the city to have their license.
Okay.
So
And do you see that inspection fee going up in the years to come?
we try to do it, when we come out and do it, we try to do multiple inspections at a time. So that's how we make it affordable for us and why we can keep that at that rate. We don't have to raise it.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? If not, thank you, Judge.
One other thing I didn't get to yet, if that's okay.
Yep.
So there was a question came up of are there funds available that we could write, like the small cities grant we had in the past, could that be used for rental property owners? And it could. We would look at, if you want to pursue that, we would look at writing that next year. We're not writing any this year. We have 10 open grants right now. So I need a couple of those to drop off. But we would come in next summer and start doing those surveys and collecting the information. We just wrote one for Amboy that was funded this year, which is a comprehensive grant. They had a very strong interest in commercial rehab again, and then they had interest on the rental side of it. So instead of doing owner occupied and commercial, we did rental and commercial. So here in Good Thunder, we could look at rental being the driving force on it. If we get enough interest, I believe we could just write the single purpose for rental. I would say if we do that, we probably want to roll in single family again. So we do single family and rental, and that would give you up to $600,000 you could write for total to cover everything. Or if you do have some commercial interest, you can roll that in too. So, but I would say we'll do that. We would, if you want to do that, I would offer to do that next fall or next summer and fall. That would be for spring 2023 funding.
So that money that you get for that, if say you got a grant, that money would be divided up by all the rentals in town or a portion, or how would the money be divided up?
Well, what you're going to do is you're going to do a survey and get your interested property owners and find out how many you have, and that's how you're going to do your budget. So you hope you have enough interested that you can maximize the amount on your budget. And then it comes down to when you actually are funded, then it's going to be, you just reach out to all of those that completed that survey first. They get first crack at it. And if not everybody bites on it or some drop out, then you could open it up to the other property owners in town. And if you do that single family one is, or if you do the rental, I would say you're going to do single family. And I think that can include duplexes. Because really that's the majority of what you have is single family or duplexes. I think you have a couple of triplexes or fourplexes. You can roll them in. But I wouldn't necessarily do like Timberbrook because if you do that, then you got Davis-Bacon wages involved, and that's not going to be very affordable for them to do that. And they maintain those pretty well anyways.
Is that used for interior, exterior, whatever it may be?
It's basically like any other small city is, first of all, we have to do lead. If there's lead involved, and then, yeah, then it will be basically all those deferred maintenance items they haven't done, if they got bad roofs or if they need electrical or plumbing. It involves a contribution by the landlord. I think for the rental portion of small cities, the small cities grant can cover 70% of the grant up to $25,000 for a single family unit. And actually, I think on a duplex too, you can do 25,000 per unit. And then 3 and 4, I think might come down a little bit, but it's 70%. So if you've got a landlord that wants to do it, they own a single family home rental, and we go out and do an inspection, and it's $20,000 that we determine their need is, then the grant would provide 14,000, and they'd have to come up with 6.
New furnace, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Furnace, yeah, windows and doors, yeah. So not remodeling, just it's all rehab. So, but the owner's portion can go to those more remodeling items if need be.
Like new entry doors that are old doors that are crooked, that don't fit,
Yep.
all stuff like that. Huh?
Yep, and then the beauty is, depending on the income of the tenant, in those cases, we can also bring weatherization dollars into that project. So we can maximize, more improvements. So, yeah. So if you want to do that, let's talk more about that for, it's like in the spring of next year. We can get it on the schedule.
Sure can't hurt.
No,
No.
that's why we write them, see if we get them funded.
Yep. All right. And you say Amboy just did get one or applied for one?
Yeah, we wrote that, and it was, this year was a little odd. They didn't make those funding decisions until middle of August, and actually end of August, and we still haven't seen the contract. So they're a little behind that deed on that. So generally, they make those funding decisions in May, June. And then you have some admin work to do, and you really don't do projects to the fall. So on that one, we're not going to do any projects till the spring, but they had a strong commercial interest, and then the rental came along with that. So, yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll be, like I say, once we do those inspections that are due, then we'll get the list to you.
Sounds great.
Give us if there's more or not.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Thank
Chad.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, Larry Calhoun might possibly show up, but we can move on to sheriff's report submitted.
Print them off for you guys. They had 70 patrol hours in September. For service included all parties, alarms, animal complaints, some civil matters, ambulance assist, disturbances, and criminal damage to property. Nicole was in town today. She's our point of contact now as our liaison. She's trying to be back here for either some mornings or some afternoons for the school stuff still. So she was here today, but was not informed that the school was closed. So she'll be back Wednesday then for school.
All right. Fire department. Like September, 3 medical, 1 mutual aid, Mapleton. A grant awarded $3,000 for turnout gear, fire prevention week. That was last week, right? Yep.
But Phil said they were doing St. John's this week.
Jake, depends. They're closed. St. John's is closed today, tomorrow, waiting a COVID test result. And if it comes back positive, they'll be closed next week. So.
And St. John's daycare this week, like Jake just explained, but a total of 170 kids. Right, good deal. Jacob?
All right, I got a list here. So I just wanted to inform everybody, I'm getting some more signs through the gentleman in Lake Crystal, same signs that I got down at the ponds, just to cover our end of the liability we have ongoing down I've brush piled the lagoons, over their trails. Today I went down there to check the brush pile and there was actually a couple trees cut down over the weekend. A lot of people are taking it upon themselves just to go down there. We don't have any signs, so certain people might not know that that is private property and it's a liability if somebody goes flying through there at 50 miles an hour on a four-wheeler and smashes into a tree, you know, so. I got 6 more signs. I'm gonna post them, just so we're covered on our end. I thought that would be a good idea and it's gonna cost a little money, but
Good idea.
so that's that. Hydro Clean, I got through them after a lot of phone calls. We're in their books for lining that behind Steve Congratz's. Sounds like about 3 weeks will be coming, so hope to see them before the snow flies. Tonight, Ron and I met with Joel from Nielsen Blacktopping. Went around to all the patches in town. He's gonna write us up a bid. And if we're good with that, hopefully he'll get it to me tomorrow and then sometime by the end of the week, come to town and start doing some spots. A lot of different spots. I have that, quote.
And I told them we wanted a seal coat next year, so if they could get in earlier in the year, like in the spring, to do the rest of the patching.
Yeah.
So we'd be ready, and he figured it'd work.
The date of October 21st, I will be gone. I'll be down in Mason City, taking the last portion of my CDL skills test. Everything else is done. I'm obtaining a permit. I have a health card. I just need to take a skills test. The reason I went down there is searching in Minnesota here, the first place I could get into was in Faribault, and it was November 21st. And it could snow by then. So I opted out and I got a hold of Mason City. I think we could talk about reimbursement a little later on. I don't know. I didn't never get you the receipt for that. It was more money than what it would cost to go to the ED and do the skills test, but it's how long do we want to wait? You know?
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, it's so backed up.
It's like 100 miles down there, I think, isn't it?
80,
Yeah.
80, yeah,
It's just,
hour and a half easy.
yeah, hour and a half to get there. It used to be down
you
there.
have to do it this way. There's no
Yep.
other way.
Yep.
No, it's,
We're doing it too.
yeah, you gotta do
They're
it.
all over. They hauled one to Fair or to Moorhead,
Oh,
one to
geez.
Winona, and both failed. Yeah, haul them back.
Like I say, and then you get there and they'll hold you there forever to get.
Yeah, then the last time they went to Winona, the lady says, well, you're not on the deal. And he said, well, it's on my phone here, but you didn't push this button. And, you know, we drove 2.5 hours to get here, whatever, 2 hours, whatever the number is. And she says, doesn't make any difference. You can do it right now. Take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just one little portion, 5 minutes. No,
Isn't that
no, you
something?
gotta come back.
That'd be a state agency, right?
Yeah, yeah. Minnesota State Agency.
Pardon?
Minnesota State Agency.
Yep.
Yes.
So as far as all that goes, I should be covered. I've sent everything in that I need to. They provide a truck and trailer. So can't, hopefully it won't pass, or it will pass pre-trip. But it should, as of right now, I'm covered up until I go down there and I show up at 7 AM. So next thing was going to be snow bucket and I've written down here weights. I kind of changed my idea for that, talking to the RDO salesman, rather than getting quick attach with a weight bar on it, you know, all you're using that for is a counterweight, where if we could possibly look into trading the leveling bar that we have now for John Deere's version, which is a much heavier duty. It looks good. I looked at Amboy's. I like the construction of it. It's a lot slimmer profile. It's about as wide as the back tires and it's a lot heavier. So I think that could serve as a counterweight rather than just getting weights, and then you just have weights, you know, with that leveling box blade, you'd have something that you could actually use rather than just a counter.
How far does that stick out then compared to?
3 feet, 36 inches I measured.
And that's like 4, damn,
That,
5
that's
foot
all
probably.
of 4 feet. I'd have to measure when it's hooked up. But it sticks out quite a ways and it's a little wider. Where this one would only be 88 inches. And he said you could go down to 72 inches if you want, but I think that'd be on the inside of the tires. Not that that would be a big deal. But quote for that is, I think I handed them out, so take a look at that, I guess.
Handed them out.
Yeah, I should, this pile of papers here.
Seen it somewhere.
And then mixed in with all those papers, I got a couple quotes from Electric Pump about a lift station pump that we're having a lot of issues with. They've had to come out twice now. Pull it up for 5 minutes of work, pull a rag out, make sure it's running, and put it back in. Each time is over $300, so eventually we're gonna be rebuilt kit here. So I don't know if that's something you guys are interested in, just biting the bullet and doing that end style impeller. That's what's the other pump is, and that pump, they said, is notorious for grinding anything up that it takes into the impeller. So,
The one you have quoted here for 8,300, that's the grinder.
that's the brand new end impeller already installed. Right. from the package.
Different than the one that's in.
Yeah, so we have a C impeller in there, but there should be a quote in there for just the impeller kit.
Right,
Yep.
right. But if we upgrade to the new pump,
Yep.
it's a better pump.
But we could make the pump that we have a better pump just by doing that end impeller kit.
Oh.
For the $1,700.
Yeah, and I just wanted to get an idea of what a new pump would cost.
Oh, good.
They kept on mentioning, well, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a spare, so I figured, well, as long as you're typing me up a quote, let's see what a new pump would cost. And
Then we got two down
Yep.
in the hole, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
the one that we're not having any issues with does have an end impeller in it. They say it's a good impeller, it does a good job, it grinds up anything that it takes in, so.
Okay.
Spoke to XL Energy today about having some more streetlights installed. So we have to run underground wires for new lights. It's going to be 2,000 to 2,500 a light. If they can use overhead wires, it's just a monthly charge, whatever we get charged for a regular street light, $10 to $12, he said, I thought. So relatively cheap in that aspect. And I asked him about the one light on Main Street that just has a plywood box over it. Those are our street lights, he said.
Yeah, yeah.
We have responsibility for them, so I'd have to contact maybe Luke Kranz about getting that one put back up. Somebody would get that box over, you right into the wires there, so.
What did happen there anyway? It just fall down.
It was bent. I just got real close when they were taking. They already had it leaning. It's like something backed into it.
Hmm.
But I can't see where it'd be that bad where you couldn't. And I think it needed some welding around the bottom too, and that's normal. I mean, I done that years ago. I mean, where you just get somebody, you have to get an electrician out to make. To weld it, you know, but that's a salt thing, I think. That's why you want to keep them things clean too. In the winter time, you know, but I can't see why it can't be, the one that was standing there can't be put back up in a way. I mean,
Well,
it
do we
just,
know where it is?
Yep, it's cut in half with a torch down at the lagoons.
oh, it is cut in half.
It is?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean, well,
Really?
Yeah,
But it's multiple flat sides, right?
yep,
So you could cut up and repair it, you know, not have a straight cut off. Just,
yeah,
you know,
right.
that's where that went.
it's got a big kink, right, I'd say 1.5 feet up from the bottom.
Off from the bottom, yeah.
And then, yeah, everything else got torched, even the lags into the concrete are torched down there underneath that box. I'm sure all
Yep.
those wires are hot. Because there's no way to you know.
Yeah, you can't get the other ones going.
otherwise, Yeah,
They cut the bolts off in the cement too.
yeah, they're torched up. It's.
Oh,
kind of messy.
that was handy.
Probably couldn't get the nuts off, huh? I don't know.
Yeah, but, well, whatever,
I don't-
it's done. I mean, that's,
Yep,
So we need
no,
to
it's
be
just,
looking at something else
yep,
Yeah.
or doing something else there.
yeah.
So do we repair that one or can, do we go online and look for used streetlight poles and do you do just one, have one odd one, or do you do them all, or what would you do?
you could, did you call Kunkel by any chance?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
And maybe,
Right.
yeah, maybe he has them. I did ask XL if they held any of them and they said no.
yeah. And I don't, Mankato Electric used to have a bunch laying around, but I don't think they're in business anymore. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Out there on
Yeah,
68,
68.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Now, whether they're the same thing or not,
think they are, but I'm
you
not.
know.
Hey, Jake, I was just gonna ask you, how many streetlights do you want to do and where are they gonna be at?
Well, I kind of wanted to talk to everybody about that, you know,
Okay.
and see, Robert and I spoke a little bit about like Chapel is actually really dark driving down.
Okay.
that. I don't know if we'd be willing to ask some people out in the public, you know, where they think would be a good spot. You know, there's certain spots that we might not know about.
Chapel
a
Street is
good
really,
idea.
really dark up there, and then I thought, we lit it up on this gravel road. That Kelvin has his shed up there, in the bus garage. Maybe we should add about 2 or 3 going out of town up to the west. They could be all put on the poles. Poles are all there,
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
a good idea to ask the public, I think. Because I've been walking really early in the morning when it's really dark and there is some really dark areas, so. The more people that walk and maybe can see what is really dark, they can let you know.
Yeah, I think just something to take into consideration.
these LEDs that we replaced with, they sure don't have the coverage on the ground.
no,
That the
No,
other,
they don't.
they don't have that spread.
no.
Very, very small area.
I guess the last thing I wanted to touch base on was my budget for the shop, pallet racking, flammable fire cabinet. So right now we're into pallet racking, wood for the pallet racking. We're at $1,753.92. I have written down in here from a July meeting that 3,000 and under was my budget for pallet racking and a fire cabinet. I got a sheet that I threw in that mess of papers. The fire cabinet that I think would suffice good enough. I think it's $753 or $735. I got it highlighted. I can't.
$725.
So that wouldn't put me over budget. I was just wondering if that was something we were still considering. I'm not gonna order it and,
I'd say wait until you know exactly what you need, and then
that's
if you're
what.
pretty sure that's what it'll be.
Yep.
it's not a real big one, so.
No, and I don't have tremendous amount of cans up there.
Yeah.
So, that would work good enough.
Say, go do it.
Okay.
Anybody else?
You think it's, because can you mix like the Roundup and Primatol, can you put that in that same cabinet or not?
Is there a reason for that, or
Pardon?
is there a reason to do that?
Well, I mean, just so it's, because in reality, you could lock this,
Yes, I can put a padlock on.
and then you could lock that chemical up too, and
Yep.
I don't know if it could be stored in the same one. But that chemical, if you use Primatol and some of that, you should maybe kind of have it locked up or out of sight, out of mind.
I don't see what it would hurt.
So, I was thinking, maybe you should almost go to a taller one so you'd have some extra room to,
It's only $120 more to go to that 20-inch taller one, gives you a whole other shelf.
yeah.
Okay,
Basically, you have another half a cabinet.
okay.
In reality, you could put one cabinet for your sprays.
What's the model number off that?
H1564. It's just the one right below it.
Okay,
Yeah, and it isn't any wider or deeper, so it's not taking up any more room.
It's just,
Alrighty.
it's 21 inches taller, so you get another shelf.
Yeah.
okay. I guess I did have one more thing. gas and diesel barrels are empty. I pulled the pumps off. And I get the barrels plugged.
Have you talked to Freiberg?
Yeah, they're not filling them anymore.
Have you talked to about whether they don't own them?
Not that I know of.
You should make me one more phone call to them and ask them if they own them.
Okay.
If not, advertise them, huh?
Yep.
I would say.
Yeah, we went through this a while ago
Yeah.
about ownership. We never did find out, when Brian Beckles here, we did not find out who owns them.
I'd give them one more call and make sure they're not gonna come around and say, hey,
Yeah.
I need $1,000 for that. And if they say no, do we want it in writing?
I'm just wondering if maybe we shouldn't send a letter
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Maybe a bit better.
and just ask them, or just notify them that we are looking to sell our fuel barrels. And we want to make sure that they're
Right.
not yours, you know.
A letter would
Are
be
you
better.
Interested in buying.
Yeah, that'd make it a lot cleaner.
Yeah,
Yep, you got it. It's not-
And they're only 500 gallons, right? I believe so.
Yeah.
I think
I'm sure they're only, but they're dual wall.
yeah.
They're dual wall.
Oh, they have a value, you know.
Oh, yeah, you'll sell them on the internet pretty quick, I'm sure.
There's a value.
You would probably have to do sealed bids for those, because it's city property, though, wouldn't you?
I would guess so, yes.
Mhm.
So we'll have to, on that, Kennedy said reasonable notice. So he would say 2 weeks published notice and then 30 days. For all of our sealed bids in the future.
Sounds good.
Do you want Jake to send that letter or do you want me to send the letter? to Farmer?
It should come from the city
Okay, perfect,
on letterhead.
perfect.
Yep. All right, getting back to the pumps here, we just want to put that pump kit on that one for now, or?
I think so.
Think so? Huh?
I believe so. I mean, it's just, you're wasting money every time they come out here.
Yeah.
You know, and you could, 3 times you're gonna pay for one.
I guess line it up for the next time when it's got to be pulled.
Nope.
Just make sure they have that kit on board and bring it down, put it on and
All right.
do 2 things at once. Somebody want to make a motion then to approve that kit impeller for 1701?
We'll move.
Someone second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed,
Aye.
Gary. Did we need a motion on, well, how about this box ripper then, or counterweight box scraper? What were they gonna give you for the one we have, or didn't they want it?
Let's come out and look at it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if we want to wait on that, that's fine. I just figured I'd get you guys an idea. And then as far as that bucket goes, I was talking to Ron a little bit about getting a contact from you, Robert.
You got yours at, and the city got the other one at that time?
Yeah, it's on one of them buckets at the shop there.
I'll go
It's
take a look and see if I can.
out west here an hour.
Yeah.
Somewhere, can't remember right
I mean,
now.
it's tough though. I mean, you know.
Well, no, it wasn't tough enough.
Well, this, I mean, what he's talking about is, well, Amboy said it's,
Yeah, it's a tough bucket.
Yeah.
and it's gonna be about wet snow and it's gonna lift the back end off. So, I mean, I don't.
I mean, we had one made by these people for our other tractor.
Right.
And it got like this. But you're not supposed to go in the plowing like this.
No, that's what the other bucket's for.
So anyhow, yeah, we can take a look.
Yeah.
Anything else? Well, the 2
Zoning permits.
zoning permits. Oh, I'm gonna need one of these too. I'm gonna be putting a fence up around the perimeter. West and north walls should be built. I think it is built, gonna get blasted and powder coated, so they'll be putting it up. So should I fill it out right now? Because they might be coming in 2 weeks.
Probably should.
Yep.
No, totally forgot about it till I seen in building permits today.
So I make the motion to approve those and what Robert needs. That work?
Yeah.
For me,
Someone
I'll second the motion.
Jim seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Motion carried.
Go with the vote.
Anything else then, Jake?
Nope, I don't believe so.
All righty.
Everything.
Okay, community comment? Anybody? Sarah, do you need anything you need to say?
I don't think so. I saw in the packet that the Maple River Physics Club is gonna do a Halloween launch at the park, which I think is pretty cool. They did that last year, I think. And you know me, I love Halloween. And Ashley talked about she got some gift cards again from ordering stuff for Target. So she was talking to me about getting some candy bars and stuff for the kiddos and figuring out when she's going to be able to give those out. But I thought that was a good idea. I like that we know about these gift cards that we never knew about before, you know, and we can give back to the kids. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Sounds good.
But other than that, my brain's not working great, so I can't think of anything else.
All right.
Worse than usual, guys. Thanks.
Anybody else for community comment? Jay?
You know, as you guys were talking about streetlights, the person that I kind of came to my mind was Gish Electric.
Yeah.
They do a lot of work for the city of Mankato. I know Kunkel's does also. And as we were sitting here, I reached out to the guy, to Randy Gish, and he said if we had a picture of it, he might have something around.
Really?
He's kind of a scrounge. He goes
Yes.
to work and he buys lots of stuff on auctions, and I mean, it's unbelievable the stuff that guy has.
Hmm.
And you know who he is, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We work with him a lot.
But anyway,
Wasn't he in with Mankato Electric?
no, but
I mean,
when it comes to electrical supply stuff, if you don't have it at like Viking or something like that, you can go to his place and get it. I mean, he has stuff just unbelievable inventory. But he told me, he says that if we had a picture that it's possible that he could match up to something.
Maybe you
He's probably
get,
got stacks of used lights out there.
yeah, maybe you can get Jake that number and he can take a poll and forward it to him tomorrow and see what we can get done.
Yep.
And them streetlights were not working one night. Ashley texted me and I failed to text her back, but I seen that. Then all of a sudden they started coming back on again.
So
There was like 5 of them out.
I took some time and climbed on top of my car at 8:30 because I wanted to get to the bottom of it, and
Was it in that
that's
box?
with the timer. I don't know if, so all it is a hog barn timer, a
Yep.
feed switch timer. So sometimes I've experienced that timer won't trip, and when it doesn't trip, your feeders or your lights don't turn on in that case. So I sat down there when it was dark and I flipped the bypass switch, and the only way I could tell is that bright LED coming on and off the elevator. And then I got that timer set back, and as far as I know now, they've been working, I think.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like 9 o'clock one night or something when I
Yeah.
texted you guys, and it was real dark uptown, so.
Yeah, it was a couple of nights before that. I was down there working and it's like, wow, we only had like 3 streetlights working. So,
I think
and nobody said nothing.
I might put a padlock on there.
Probably, yeah. All right. Anybody then under community comment, anyone else? If not, we'll move on then to unfinished business, insurance for the school. We got a letter here from M&M, right? What's your thoughts? You know, I mean, and we do have a letter here from an individual talking about the school, right?
Seems like a pretty reasonable premium to cover a building that size.
What's that?
It seems like a reasonable premium to cover a building of that size.
Yeah, it does. It's an all brick structure, but you know, still, yeah. Well, it's just for information, you know, what's gonna cost us. I mean, when do we start having some public meetings and get more input about it? You know, last meeting, individual told us that the utilities were a lot higher than what we anticipated. Do we need to have Ashley call over there again and get rock hard utility billing costs? You know, so we
Have those, don't we?
Exactly.
They mailed us or email us all those bills. We'll just have to put it back out.
Yeah.
I think we have them and
You know,
Yeah, maybe it'll take us to have a workshop, look at those and then plan a public hearing just and start there. You know, we know what kind of, when we sent out surveys, how people felt, but now COVID impacted everybody and all this other stuff. Maybe people's views
and
have changed and it's.
$3 gas plus $3.50 gas pretty soon.
It won't be long. It'll be $5.
You bet it will.
That's
Absolutely.
in their head, so.
Yep.
yeah, but you guys said we do our due diligence, put a budget together, what we think it's gonna cost for operation.
Yeah.
And then have the residents give their feedback again.
Yep. Because, you know, the only way you could support it is through the tax roll, you know, unless we could possibly get some grants but then the grants would just be used for updating, you know, like if you wanted to air condition a gym, you know, maybe you could get something for that. Maybe you can't. I don't know.
We
Can,
need to almost have some renters, like you say, if we kept the old section and have that rented out.
Yep.
And then renting parties, you know, like Pemberton does or whatever.
if you could just rent out that front older section for what, I don't know, 1,200, huh?
Can you rent for $10 a foot?
I'm not sure what you get over here, but I think you could put a big dent in your utilities renting that 6 sections out there.
And you said, you know, put an overhead door in there so that people can drive a vehicle in there and be a man cave, you know, another garage for them, you know. Is that feasible?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not that much money, you know, that lower shop, I thought that'd be great. Instead of me building a new building, I'd put a door in there and rent that lower shop room, you know.
Oh, what's the library?
The library now. I guess it was a shop room. There was one overhead door in there before.
Yep, it was
Yeah.
a shop.
Yeah.
But again, how would we find out what rental space goes for in the city of Good Thunder? Or, you know, we wouldn't be as high as Mankato, right?
Right.
You know, if you look it up, a shop kind of a thing like you're describing, instead of $1 a foot, like in St. Peter, plus the add-ons that they add on to that, so.
Well, and sometimes like the mall they were renting out was like $4 to $6 a square foot, you know, because it wasn't highly sought out before Mayo got in there and took it over, you know. And that's for the year. So if it's 1,000 square feet, it's $4,000 for the year. You divide that to the month.
Yep.
So if you have 1,000 square feet at say $4, it's 4,000 for that space for the year.
Yeah, so then it would only be about what, $375 a month.
Not too bad for someone if they got, you know, half a dozen cars they want to stick in there or whatever.
So if you took those 6 and you got 4, it'd be $2,400 a month, you know, you get 24, 48, yeah, you get almost $35,000 out of that.
Yep.
If you could rent them all.
That put a big dent in your utilities. And then if you had some weddings and some receptions, and the biggest thing is people wanted a community center, you know, for that gym, if we could use that. And we've got, people have talked about renting that kitchen from us if we made that go. So we just need to kind of put those numbers together. So
That's the big thing. You gotta have numbers down there. And you gotta,
Well, we had that one people here and that scared the death of them numbers.
But they're true.
Well, the heating, the roof numbers, do you think they're very true or are they
I
exaggerated?
bet they will be by the time we're forced to do it.
Yeah,
You know, we can call Swickerts and have them give us a firm number from down here. I think those are Twin Cities budget numbers, because even like the permits in there, we wouldn't have anywhere near the permit costs they had in there.
Right. Well, that's what I mean, you know, you might be. I'm just only going to say this again, and that is I don't want to end up with a dam. Just like the County did, you know, did wonderful things there. A lot of people use it.
still not,
Damn.
still not adequate.
I mean, look at the expense they have and they're going to have. And I don't want to have the same thing happen to Good Thunder with the school, you know, so it's got to be, you just got to look at it, just like we're talking.
you gotta have, and firm numbers.
So if the city got it for $1. And we did a few things, say we had it, the city had it for 5 or 7 years. And at that end of that time, it wasn't feasible anymore. The city has a right to sell it again, right?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You would own
I
it.
think we'd have the right to sell it, resell it then again?
I don't know how long I imagine that the school will have a contract, if we do get it, that we can't use it for certain things.
Right, yeah.
I don't know how long that contract would be viable for, 5 years? I don't really know.
I believe when the bank was purchased, there was a 5-year non-compete that went in there, so another bank couldn't go in there for 5. I think it was 5.
5 or 7 years,
So I
yeah.
think it would probably end up being the same thing.
Yeah.
Or they might say that a school could never go in there again because they're building that, so you can't have it like a charter school or something, but that would all be disclosed in the
You know,
agreements.
the thing is, you know, you'd have to be awful careful who you sold it to, because that's what happened to Rapidan and Amboy, and I mean, and then they sit. Because
All right.
people can't afford, you know.
Yeah, Rapidan, but Amboy, the school board, nobody did anything with that one. So I mean, if you ran it for 5 years, 3 years, whatever, and you see it was a burden on the city after that 5 years or whatever they have on there, could you up and sell it, and get almost all your money out of it?
I don't know. I think that's something that would have to be in the pro forma that we'd have to look at and present that all to the public. You know, what chance is there of selling that building? We take it for, let's say it's $1. I'm not even sure that's all true yet, you know, but if we do, what could you actually sell that building for? Or would it be a negative? Would you have to actually, I mean, in order to sell the building and the property, would you have to demolish part of it or something like that in order to make it a viable purchase for someone else? You know, would it be a negative? I guess I have to think about that a little bit.
Do you know the clerk in Pemberton?
No, I don't think they have one right now. I think they have an inner,
That's right, they got a little bit of an issue.
yeah, and their past clerk is currently in the hospital, so I wouldn't even be able to talk to her right now.
It would just be, well, there is some people though that are running that, I believe, isn't there?
Like running the event center.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who runs it. I can definitely reach out and find out, because Sarah and I were talking about going over there to kind of see their whole operations anyways. So, I mean, that
Yeah, we
was
still need to.
we do.
We do.
So we should make that plan when everything's better and go over there and see and kind of meet the people, see their whole, who's running it, you know?
we gotta be almost 3 times bigger than Pemberton. Pemberton can only have what,
Population-wise?
population wise, can't we?
Oh, I think so. What
They
is-
can only be 200 people, can they?
I think isn't there only like 90 households?
Well, how can they justify something like that then over there?
Yeah.
And you know, inside where they've revamped that, it's very, very nice,
Yeah, I've been in it.
you know? Yeah, I mean,
You got a very nice council chamber in it.
yeah, and again, is there grant dollars out there for small town community centers? How do you find that out? Where do you go to get started on that deal?
Sure, there's a grant for everything. We just have to dig and look, you know.
There's, yeah, you start at Google and go to, or start at the league or end up in Google, and there's a lot. We did get approved. There was one grant that I want to say it was for ventilation or something that ICF,
HVAC,
yeah,
was all that HVAC stuff.
yep. So that company out of the cities told us about, and we applied for that. So, and I believe that one was like 26,000 or 29,000 or something. So if
239 in Pemberton,
Pardon?
239 in Pemberton,
population.
population 239.
So there's some out there. It's hard to apply for grants if you don't have a set plan in place of what you're gonna do, because a lot of them want to know the scope of work and everything. So if you don't have a plan in place, you can't be like, well, we want to do this, but we want you to give us money first so we can do that. So
Bear was mayor over there, right? Bear?
I don't know.
He was.
He was.
What was his first name? He would probably talk to a guy and see he was in there when they did that, I believe.
the past mayor,
Ray, not Ray Bear?
Sarah, do you know?
You look it up. So.
Who the mayor is over there? I don't.
The past one, yeah. Oh,
No, I
sorry.
don't.
I'll ask him.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
So. All right, well,
sound good.
it's a winter project to make a decision by next closing of school year, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, we gotta be moving on it.
Yeah, we don't want to wait until March,
Right.
you know, we want to start having some informational meetings and
So we gotta get some prices.
well, we got some scary ones.
I mean, say,
You know, like Jim said, I mean, if you can get somebody,
rough, you get-
a roofer out to,
Cato Roofing or.
Swickers or KRI could do it from satellite and give you a firm price on that roof. I mean, they could come out and visit it too, but I mean, they can give you,
a bid.
yeah.
Like the fire department, that hasn't had no new bladder put on there yet either, right? And isn't that getting to its
So like 26,
That's good.
27 years.
Close.
close to its lifetime?
Well, it's 20 years old or 22 years old now.
It was built 96, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
the roof is probably ready to be replaced
Yeah.
Oh, I
or
don't think
redone.
so.
It's gotta be. I
I
mean, real close.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, but they don't last forever.
Then what we ought to do is have somebody, Cater Roofing or somebody come out. That's all I always had to look at it, was Cater Roofing, you
KRI.
know, and inspect it.
Yeah, you gotta get up on top to, you know, like, see what,
And then they'll just give you, I always have all our roofs inspected every year at work. And they just give you a satellite photo with marked out things, you know, and say you should do this, it's $1,000, you should do this, it's 500. You know,
So do you ever have to replace the whole thing at once, or can you do some spot work around the outside edges, or?
oh yeah, that's what they do. They do
Yeah.
stop work around, you know, flashing. The big thing is to hold the bladder down,
Yep,
you know, and don't let anything get under it, you know. So,
and you know, we were all up on the roof there. It looks like they've done a pretty good job of keeping their gravel spread
yeah,
out
yeah.
decent.
but it does leak.
Yeah, there is, yep, there is.
So there are spots on the tile
Yeah.
where it's leaked.
I don't know if that's as new a bladder as what like the fire station has on it, not. I don't remember.
They said that the old section was 9 years old. The new section was, you know, new in 19 or whatever, but the lower section, that's only 9 years old is what they were saying.
It's leaking. Right?
By the top of the stairs there's a air conditioning unit or something.
That's right where the two buildings kind of come together,
Yeah.
though. That's where
Might
that,
be a seam or something.
and then
That's the kind of thing, an inspection, every year will get you,
yeah,
you know, they'll catch that kind of thing more.
Uh.
As we know, that's not been done to that roof.
no,
No. Or if it has, nobody knows it.
Correct.
No.
but didn't we reach out to the school already about that dollar to the city yet? Didn't we do that like a month or two ago?
I did, and Dan Anderson said, I cannot be sure right at this moment, and he had to talk to the school board, and I haven't heard back from him.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
So, but I haven't followed up with him since.
I guess we should find out whether that offer stands yet, because, you know,
Yes.
if it's a
definitely.
$100,000 building, we probably don't want it. Right?
No.
I don't know.
I mean,
I can,
and I guess, you know, is it our decision or is it the citizens of Good Thunder?
Community's decision.
Yeah, but it's still, you know, through us, yeah,
But we got to be the ones that make it feasible.
try to.
Try
That's
to.
the point.
Yeah, try to. Yep.
I can, I'll reach out to Dan Anderson again and
Yeah.
just see, and maybe I'll just CC some of the school board members in there.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on since I haven't heard back.
I think we need to start with that. Yeah.
Because they've got money in the budget to tear it down. If we don't want it and a developer doesn't want it, they've got money in the budget to tear it down.
Yep.
Be a terrible waste of a building, I
Sure would.
think. So. All right.
Still might be a waste, but still gotta be
Sometimes
economically
things have to get worse to
viable.
get better.
What was that, Jay?
I said sometimes things have to get worse to get better.
Yeah.
As far as tearing it down and redeveloping it into something else that would create probably tax dollars.
Yep. All right, 530 Sherman, engineering letters there from Jeff.
There's also one from Blue Earth County too. That's kind of interesting.
Mark Vanderbilt, that letter?
Yeah. I don't know how they determine. I think we're gonna need some clarification from Manderfield, don't you think, on the statutory requirement he's talking about?
About what?
He's talking about the statutory requirements. And I don't know what that means because he doesn't give us any.
Well, here it says the application states that the property may be sold.
They ask questions on there, I guess, of use of the property. It may be sold, may be kept, maybe house may be sold off, but I don't understand what they mean by the property didn't meet the statutory requirements for exemption. I don't know what that means.
So we have to be 50 feet from the center of the Sherman Street. Not the sanitary sewer, but the regular sewer, right? Storm sewer. That gets there, you can see that dark shaded green. Obviously, that dark shaded green there 50 feet from the property line.
What he did was because we control the streets, they moved it where we can use. So they're giving us, because the city controls the street, they're letting you go to the center of the street.
So in other words, that whole darkened area green there is a feasible area for a well then.
Correct.
That's
That's
what
what
this-
he's saying in the letter.
That's what he says, yes.
Yep. So,
But you gotta make sure that the health department, everybody's in favor of that too.
Your nose there?
I don't know, because the county sent us a thing that doesn't meet the statutory requirement, but we just got this today, so.
That's for the statutory requirements for exemption. For tax,
Right,
nothing to do with the well.
okay.
It's only for the tax exemption.
So we would have to pay tax on it because it doesn't meet that exemption if we want to
Right,
keep
yeah,
it.
that
as
one,
well.
yeah, I'm looking at this
Right.
Dahmer's letter.
At this time anyway, it doesn't meet exemption.
well, I mean, if you sold that house off and it became a city property, well, just like the park, we don't own the park.
No,
But down there where the ballpark is,
yeah, we don't pay tax.
we don't pay no tax on
We
that.
don't pay tax on this.
And the fire hall,
No,
nope. So that area there, if you could save or preserve an area for a well, you could take that park equipment that got donated to the city and you could have a little mini park
yeah,
there,
you could.
you know, right in the center of town.
We get parks all over the place.
Yeah, I know, but we got equipment down there.
Yeah, but I thought you were gonna put the equipment up here where the wood structure was.
Yeah. But I mean, that property, if that was abandoned of a house, that would be no different than any other city property, right?
Well, I guess I don't understand what they say here, the requirements for granting exemption. There must be a concurrence of ownership. I'd have to look up the word concurrence to really know what that means, you know, to use. Concurrence of ownership, use, and necessity of ownership. Well, the necessity is there, of course. Necessity is to keep it well,
Yeah,
but I don't know what that word concurrence actually means in this paragraph.
That would,
It's only to do with the tax. But if you sold the house off of it and it was just a bare
Bare
lot,
lot.
I mean, the valuation of the lot would go down, so the tax.
yeah, because that lot to the north there, that was only like, what the heck was it, $120 or $200 a year, that bare lot.
Yeah.
So if
The
it
rate is much different on a bare lot than it is
Yeah.
with an improvement on it.
so any structure on a lot,
Structure at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would think we'd want to reach out to county and get some more clarification. I mean, it doesn't matter if we make a decision tonight or next week. I would just say, let's get some more information from the county,
yeah,
see what's going on.
because it would meet the requirement if the house was gone, you could save that area on that whole lot.
You have to understand, I mean, tax, the bulk of tax, not counting school, the bulk of all the other tax is city.
Yep,
So, I mean,
Yep.
there isn't much tax on that property.
no,
Real tax for the city.
yeah, the whole tax thing was only, what was it, wasn't even $1,200 a half, was it? Like,
I don't remember what it was on that.
but I mean, it's like Tom says, that portion there, the city is probably going to get $250, $300 a half out of that.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And, like I say, and that's why they gotta make sure, I mean, everybody is standing in line with their hands out. They want to make sure that everybody is taken care of legally.
I guess we could ask Ashley to write him and get clarification on what all that means. What are we talking about exactly?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, well. Gonna talk to the county. Find out about that, talk to the school about that. Anything else under unfinished business, anybody? Now we'll move on to new business. Thunderbar liquor license renewal.
That's paid her fee and everything has went to the state or to the county. They did their background check and everything. We just need to sign it and send it back up to the state and then they'll send us back the one. So we just need you guys to approve.
Do we need to?
Make a motion on approve that, yeah.
We do.
Yeah, somebody make a motion to approve the Thunderbar liquor license renewal.
So moved.
Someone second,
I'll second it.
all in favor, say
Right.
aye. Aye, opposed, motion carried. Okay, legal advice, Kennedy, 2 letters. Questions? Sarah and I met with Kennedy here a week ago today. And I guess the way he explains it, it would just be good that we all have a workshop with him there to try to clarify some issues of supervisory positions, I guess maybe is how you might want to say it. So anybody want to throw out there when you want to get together? Maybe we got to wait at least till Sarah's going to be down for how long?
I'm out until the 20th.
20th? Okay.
Yep. And then
Anytime after
we were gonna go somewhere. That's MEA. So I wasn't gonna be back until the 25th, but that's if we're all healthy, that is. I'm fine.
So the last week of October, anybody got plans or? 27th would be the last Wednesday of the month, 28th, 29th.
27th would probably work.
27th would probably work, she said.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's really quiet.
I can turn her up.
I'm just not quiet in general, so that's weird. Kind of loud.
7th, you say?
That was on a Wednesday.
Works for me. Start.
Oh, I don't know, would we want to start that by 5 o'clock?
It's like Kennedy.
Yeah. See what he says?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good call. We gotta check with him.
I really can't set it, can we?
Hmm.
We better have a couple of days.
Yeah, maybe the 27th, 28th, whatever.
Yeah, see what Kennedy's availabilities.
How about Tuesday before the Wednesday? Isn't that workable for people?
Yeah.
I'd have to ask the wife. She makes all the decisions.
So just give him a call, 26th, 7th or 8th, whatever.
Yep.
And what time he would prefer. All right. Then something else here about the Tri-Cities. We always had a designated police chief, right? That's the way I take it.
Yeah, I
Well-
think we just need to send him our current contract. And then I think that would probably list our liaison officer as our Cleo. Because for state law, we have to have a Cleo, so I think that's what we need to do. Oh, what happened? Anyway, yeah, my picture just went goofy if you can still hear me, but I think we just gotta send him a thing of our contract.
Plugged in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we can just send them with, what we've done with the Blue Earth County Sheriff's Department, right?
I thought he looked at that all. Didn't he look at that to start with?
I kind of thought he did too. That's why I was a little confused.
Confused here. I could have, I was sure that we,
And I thought Mike Mauer was probably he was the chief in charge of that, wouldn't?
Well, he was originally when we started all that, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
remember, it took quite a while to make all that happen.
Yeah, they've got a whole contract, so maybe we just send it to Kennedy so he can make sure what it
That's
says.
what I thought.
All we gotta do is
Yeah,
refresh it, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we're good. He just didn't have it or something.
Eric, can you hear okay?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can hear now.
All right, well, Ashley, just see what you can drum up and satisfy the lawyer. See if any of them dates work for them and make it work for everybody else here. Okay, 300 South Hulk letter.
I talked to them today or yesterday, whenever it was, and told them that we're gonna take care of that section there where they could park there.
Okay.
So they were perfectly willing. That was okay.
Good.
Yeah. They weren't upset about anything really anyway, just a matter of just wanted something done. So whether they did it or we did it.
And we're paying for that gravel then, or are we billing them?
But it's our property anyway.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
it's just a matter of getting in there after the curb's all done, or everything's set up there, right? And
Okay.
because we might have to blacktop around the corner a little bit even, so the water runs good.
Okay, sounds good. Perfect.
You understand the issue?
I heard a little bit about it. I haven't
Yeah.
read the letter or anything like that.
Just so we don't lose connection.
No, we've talked about it.
Okay.
She just wanted to make sure if she brought gravel and it was okay, they were willing to pay for it, but I think we're still gonna do it at our cost. So that was, she
Yeah.
just didn't want to get in trouble for bringing rock in
Yeah,
and causing a problem.
Yep.
and it's gonna take a little black dirt behind that sidewalk there. There's about this much, there's nothing, so we'll probably have to dump dirt in there to make it right.
Yep.
So,
And that's taken care of.
all right, community comment letter.
That was the one that you guys had from tonight. And then there was just another one in your packet from a resident down on South Halliday. Just kind of as an informational.
What about flushing water mains?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was about that, about water. in general.
Well, yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
same.
It was like a
Overtaken.
medical notification system or thing too.
It's in the one with the 300 South Halliday letter. What's on that one? It should be in there.
I seen it. I didn't realize that I didn't download it, so.
And this On the same basis, this letter here for Davida Dialysis Mankato Clinic, do we need to recognize that area there that that person takes dialysis daily?
I think they just want to inform us that we be informed that utilities are available, probably for the water portion, but I mean, electrical, if there's ever an outage, we want to let them know, but we let everybody know by text and email already, so I'm not sure if they're asking for anything special.
Oh, you just
Other-
They wanted to know house efforts to restore services to this address would be appreciated. Well, if it's XL, you can't even get a human.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's like-
Yeah.
Since Red left, you have
Oh,
got,
we got water to take care of. It- And sewer is all that the city's got for taking,
yeah, we got our
and
services.
we do that. I mean,
And flushing doesn't shut anything down, it just causes some rust or discoloration and.
yeah.
Well, and I talked, myself and Dave both talked to the property owner, about the flushing, and we have, something in place so that they're aware and everything, so it's taken care of, so.
Phone call tomorrow before I get there and get around his area, or at least on that section of Main, so he'll know.
All right.
There's not much I can do about discolored water.
Anything else on under new business? Anybody?
The only other thing is we are flushing mains tomorrow and Wednesday, which has been in the newspaper. And text alerts went out and it went in all the stuff, so everyone's,
It's even in the newsletter, right?
yep, so
Yep.
everyone should be pretty well informed about it.
Yep.
And I can send out a reminder, again, the text alert.
All right, move on to miscellaneous Maple River Candy launch.
Yes, so that's what Sarah was talking about. The physics class last year over Halloween built catapults and launched candy to the kids in the city park. So they're gonna come do it again this year from 1 to 3 on Halloween. So when Isaacson is the physics teacher over there, and they're building stuff to launch candy at the kids.
All right. Trick or treat at City Hall.
Yes, so Sarah touched on that a little bit. The place we buy our ink from, Metro Sales sent 4 $20 gift cards for Target again. Last year we used them when they came around this time to buy candy and the kids trick or treated City Hall. Halloween's on a Sunday this year, so I don't know if you guys want to do it on Sunday, if you want to do it on Friday from 3 to 5, if you want to use those gift cards for something else and not Halloween. It's up to you guys.
Can you incorporate it from 1 to 3 on the 31st up in the park?
I think I could, yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to do that, or kids can go from there and then they can come to City Hall and then they can do their running around town, from 3 to 5 or whatever.
It's on Sunday, right?
Yep,
Yep.
yeah, my daughter offered, her and her friends would like to help, and I figured as junior Miss Goodthener, it might be a good thing for her anyways to do, so I just wanted to make sure you guys were okay with that, and
I think that's a good idea to do it at the same time as the candy launch.
okay,
I could maybe, I was planning on being up there too, so I could help out.
okay.
And I'm okay with spending the money on getting candy bars for the kiddos. Of course.
Just let me know about it. Years was their money we didn't know about.
Yeah.
So they've come twice a year, it's been $80 both times twice a year for the last 2 years.
And Quill, you get all the time based on orders, right?
Well, not money, but you get like money off your orders, or they send like those boxes of cookies. that go in
Meats,
the-
cheeses.
Yeah,
cookies,
meats, cheese and whatever that go in the kind of the new resident totes.
Sounds good. Make it happen.
We talked about that box scraper twice. Is that something we're getting, or is that something that Jake just got a price on?
He just got a price on it.
Okay,
Yeah, just throwing it out.
okay, I just didn't know, because we're working on that.
We're still looking at trading the other one in and stuff.
I don't remember. I thought that one was pretty cheap, like $1,800. It's probably not worth anything.
Yeah, and I asked him, like, did we get it from you? Cause I still don't know where you guys got that from.
Mike came from Blue Earth, maybe.
Might have.
Yeah,
I think it was 1,800, 2,500 bucks. It wasn't very
it
expensive.
wasn't too expensive, no.
Like from Blue Earth, the city or Blue Earth County?
The implement people down in Blue Earth, can't remember what the name is.
Lano, is it Lano over there or not? No,
Jaeger.
is it Jaeger?
the bottom.
Right by the subway over there?
Yep. I think it's Jaeger.
Got something here on the miscellaneous here, the resolution approving tax. Did we do that in September or not? That I got bare sheets here?
We need to do that. We talked about it and the 2% and we never passed a resolution. We said, yep, 2%, go ahead. And then we never passed a resolution.
Because the final one's in December where we could still lower it if we wanted to.
Correct, yep.
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 Okay. So do you have that on there? Computer?
Is it in there?
So we need to make a motion then to pass resolution 2021 07 and 08 for the resolution adopting, or you know, read it to me? Did that have to be done by last month?
Yep.
To be submitted to Blue Earth County, right?
It's not, it's submitted to Blue Earth County, but we need the resolution.
Yeah.
So.
Did we always put the water and the sewer on there? Seems like if you went back quite a while ago, we never put them two entities on there because they're supposed to be self-sustaining.
Yeah, but we always have them all.
Yeah. Do you have that, Ron?
Yep,
Oh, yeah, you got paper. You got it.
It's here, it's in here someplace, but I didn't see it.
I don't think that one
It
made,
might have not been.
it might not made a renewal. There was some stuff I added 2 hours ago too, or 4 hours ago in there.
Just a little bit, I'm just having trouble here remembering. What was it last year?
It increased last year?
The levy, the levy for the general fund.
Really, I tell you.
I'd like to kind of know where we're at.
Percentage wise?
Yeah, I want to know that before we sign the paper, you know. And make sure that the numbers are all right.
Yeah. It was.
You want to compare them numbers last year's
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you could, yeah, she could just find this,
cover sheet.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to do. You got this? You,
No, but I remember, I mean, at the workshop, we came up with that percentage, right? We were happy with that,
I just want to be sure that
the numbers, right?
it works, yeah.
Yeah, because, well, did she say she already submitted it
Yeah.
to county?
She said the county has it, but
No,
we
no,
haven't
it's just
done the
matter-
resolution.
Before Robert signs it, I would
Right.
sure like to
Yeah,
know for a fact that,
We have our numbers right,
yeah,
because if there was a shortfall, you couldn't change it. Right?
right,
right.
right. If there's something kind of goofy. yeah.
You can lower, you can't raise.
363,166.
What was it again?
363,166.
363?
Yeah, that was last year's.
It didn't change much, right? This year?
18,000 or something was all it
It
changed.
wasn't very much.
363 is only a $3,000 increase on this here then. This is 366. Yes, I'm.
What's the grand total there?
366,
366,000,
849,
849.
366, 849. And if last year's was 363. That doesn't seem to compute.
Only $3,000 more.
Yeah, that doesn't.
And 2%, it says there 2%, right? Rise?
There's no percentage.
I thought there were, didn't we have like a 2 percentage points, I thought, wasn't it?
I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
2%. 2.5.
Yeah, maybe 2.5 might be
Yeah,
right. Because see, I think 2.5 was the first time we ever said a half a percentage point.
I'm thinking it was 2.5.
Yeah.
Our final levy for 2021 that we submitted was $339,054.
Okay, all right, okay.
Was on the proposed one, that's why.
And that was for this business year that we did a year ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So then we got,
That
we
makes me
got
feel better.
$33,000 more than, no, not quite, no. 27,000. Yeah, then we're better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Somebody want to make a motion then to adopt resolution 2021 and -7 and 8? Someone to second?
Second.
All in favor? I oppose,
Aye.
motion carried. All righty. Anything else under miscellaneous then?
Yes, Robert, my question for you is how would you like me to handle the posting of City Hall being closed while I'm gone? Do you want me to just?
Well, you just start, put up there now, we'll do two family, the office will be closed and put it on the internet, right? That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Yep. So would a guy ever leave a message to contact somebody in the city if there was something you really need an answer?
Change the answer machine.
I could. I thought about taking the computer with me, so at least some things can be done. You know, they can still get through on email at least.
You
Or
could
the-
put on there, like Robert, whoever.
If it's an emergency or,
Like, people that are coming to want to pay their water bills, make sure, you can put it in the Dropbox, but there'll be no personnel in here for X amount of days.
Okay.
So they have warning. And was Wednesday you have to leave in the morning or?
yeah, we'll probably leave early Wednesday morning.
Okay.
Did you want to talk at all about the water bill?
I suppose we should.
We've got a problem with banning apparently in the water bills.
Okay.
Way it looks, and I didn't give, I gave Robert a copy because he's on personnel committee. I didn't know what else to do here, but I do have copies here. And also I was supposed to come up with a raise, and that's what initiated all of this, so if you want to just pass those on. One more.
Yeah.
You'll have to zoom in, Sarah.
Well, I
Literally.
thought she had a copy. No,
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I did give her a copy last
I was
Monday.
gonna say, Robert, I have one from our meeting the other day.
Yep, that's right.
yep. So anyway, let's just start off. What I did was, it's kind of self-explanatory there, but we got 237 paying water customers. Now that's who are actually paying. There's more water meters out there, but that's the number of people actually paying. And I'm gonna start this off one other way here. I am not an accountant. I'm not anything. I work in the dump. So, but
But you took the time and effort and you pointed out several
yeah.
instances that isn't right.
So anyway, 45 of them are minimum charge. So if you raise the rate, 45 meters don't participate in that. So that changes the dynamic quite a bit, you know. Our water charge is $7.25 minimum per quarter, plus that 0.0345 cents per cubic foot over 500.
Yep.
And the sewer charge is $25.50 minimum per quarter, plus 0.041 per cubic foot over 750.
Yep.
Now, I'm gonna just mention this too, as an aside, if you look up in the code book, that's the wrong, the sewer charge is wrong, so we gotta make sure that gets updated too. The manual.
Do you know what it's supposed to be, Tom? Or
It's supposed to be this number,
what's supposed to be these
We're
numbers?
charging this number.
but the code book
This
is,
is what we're charging, the code book is a little less. It's like 0.03, I can't remember,
it wasn't updated in the last increase, obviously.
apparently,
Yep.
apparently not, the sewer. Water charge is right, yeah, but not sewer. So anyway, if you look at, I just did my water bill. So just to give you an idea how this is all figured out longhand. You know, the computer does this all instantly, but the longhand, this is what it is. You take the cubic feet that are used, that I used, 1621 minus the 500 minimum times that 0.0345 equals the 3867 plus $7.25, which is the minimum charge. Everybody gets charged that. You know? Same thing with the sewer. You can just follow through that. That's exactly how it's figured out. So anyway, the projected water fund, according to the numbers that I was able to see here, is about $88,000, including the second quarter billing. And so if you estimate the same amount for the third quarter billing, that's what I come up with. Okay, at 88.8 is a projected income. And then we had budgeted expenses at 72,000, but so far we've spent 94,882, according to the accounting. So by the end of the year, I'm projecting we'll have spent 124,884. Just because you gotta pay salaries and stuff, you know, out of it. And so I don't think that this year was an average year, you know, and I think that's why it's so much higher. If you look through the expenses in the water department, you know, there was some engineering, there was some major repairs and stuff like that that was taken out of that account, you know. So
Was it this year we pulled the well? It was above the ground for a while?
Yep.
Yeah, it was this year. So that would have been a large
yeah,
expense.
see, that's what I mean. You know, I mean, it's
36
not a
grand
normal-
or
it's
whatever.
Not a regular, normal kind of a year. So if you just look down below there, I mean, I do have the projected deficit at 36,000. But I think if we phase in a raise of 1 cent per cubic foot. And by phase in, I don't mean just like automatically January 1, everybody gets a 1 cent raise. Doesn't seem like much. Doesn't seem like much. For me, it would be $11.21 per quarter.
Per quarter, yeah.
That's not bad, you know, but for the high users, you know, like one of your garages, Robert, that would increase $264 a quarter. That's not the high use one. For the Thunderbar, it would increase at $145 a quarter. So that's why I propose that you phase in a raise, not just boom, hit everybody. If you want to do this. You know, maybe if you just do it over the next year or in 18 months, do it in two jumps or 3 jumps or something, you know what I mean? Just kind of ease into it. It's not anything we got to do tonight or anything like that. I'm just giving you the thoughts, you know.
When they talked about the grant writing process, they said our water's about half what we should be charging. We don't qualify for grants because we're not charging enough in the first place. Yeah, doubling your water bill would be really tough.
Be hard to do.
Yeah.
It'd be really hard to do. You know, and that's the other thing. It doesn't really the water. The water is not the expensive part of the bill, you know, to the homeowner. It's everything else you got to put on it. I mean, it's the contingency and refuse and all this other stuff that gets mounted into it. So
Contingency for the sewer is $45 a quarter, and then the well is
I can't remember. I
30.
can look it up here. I have it on the computer. but
Water contingency fee is 35, sewer contingency fee is 45.
Yep, 35 and 45, and that's every quarter.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's $90 right there, or whatever that is, you know.
And then we do have a service contingency fee that's $243 a quarter. And that's through the state. That's what we have to be charging every year. They send us what we have to be charging.
Yeah. So anyway, just to move on then, I guess from that, that's just kind of food for thought. You asked me to come up with an idea, so I did. Other notes, you know, I did find, and I did, for last quarter, I did actually run every meter to be sure it was right. I didn't do that this last one you just sent. I just looked at it and just figured that, you know, by comparing, you know. Anyway, these very same properties have the same issues this quarter. So that's telling us that there's a problem in the program. And you can see their Timberbrook, you know, has been undercharged for we don't know how long, a couple $100 a quarter.
Yeah, so that's almost an $800 bill right there
Yeah, you know.
per year.
There's a few overcharges, you know, the next one there, that was overcharged. That's a resident that's been overcharged about $20, and it's exactly the same this quarter as last quarter. The water and the sewer charge is exactly the same in their bill.
Are they, do you know, are these budget? Like, if they're going down, mine is budget. Is that, it has something to do with it or no? Okay.
No, this is actually just looking at
So just them. Okay.
the cubic feet used.
Okay.
And yeah, and yours was under, in this one here was $110, you know, less than what it should have been. And the percentage off is exactly the same this quarter. So I mean, it's a program problem, you know, and I don't know how to do it, how to fix it, of course.
Do them Banyan people come down here? Because they're the ones gonna have to get in there and make sure that that's done right.
But you can,
They can come down here or we do it all the time where they come and take over the computer and kind of go in through there. Actually, the auditors and I were just on the phone with them the other day about some issues that weren't coming through how they should either, just with tax issues on there. So they don't have a problem coming in and whatever, taking over the computer and helping that way too. So if we now, especially that we know that these ones are problem issues, we can fix them.
Yeah.
did you have to look at each one then, Tom, and see that the cents per whatever is wrong in a couple of them? Is that what you're saying then?
I don't know. No, it doesn't follow.
Oh,
Oh, no, it's weird. I mean, how can, when you look at the formula, I mean, there's no way that you can ever have a water and sewer bill be exactly the same.
Right, yeah.
Can't be.
Oh,
right.
Yet it is on two quarters right in a row. You know, I mean, there's something odd in there going on. I don't know what in the world it is. And it's the same exact people. It isn't like one's dropped off and one's been added. So the other thing I want to make sure of too is that there's a few residents that have no water bill. I just want to make sure that they really don't have water.
There's a couple that don't have water and there's a couple that have gotten letters because their meters are not reading. So they're supposed to reach out to Jake to get a new reader.
But don't we estimate them and send them a bill?
They should be getting the 176.41 minimums.
I mean, there's a few in there that, I mean, there's no water in your sun shop.
What's that?
Is there any water in your sun shop?
Yeah.
There's no bill going to his sun shop,
Really?
I guess.
except for what? Except for refuse.
Yeah, I know that I called about refuse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, refuse is in there.
Yeah, I guess I
There's
didn't.
no
know
water.
there was water in there.
There's no water and sewer.
is there a meter on it?
There should be.
Well, that's my point.
Yep.
That's your point.
That's my point.
Yep.
We gotta make sure. Somebody has to sit down it's got the time and make sure that everything that's not been built really isn't getting water.
Yep.
I don't know.
So when you drive by with that thing, it does it so fast. It probably, if you drove just drive down the street, would it show those 4 households right there on that thing? And does it show movement? I mean, how would you say it? You're driving down your automatic reading it. Can you tell what street you're on that the 4 houses had 4 movements? How do you do that? I don't know.
Tell them how far you can pick up my office.
Yeah,
from.
it's insane. That's another question, Ashley. When you guys set that up, as far as like mapping goes, were you involved in that at
No.
all? Okay,
Way before my time.
so whoever set that up, set it up kind of backwards because I was in the cul-de-sac of, I don't know the road name.
Adrian Fleming's.
Yeah, up by
there.
Roberts.
Yeah.
And I could read Jim's warehouse from up there with that device. And then I could just hit okay, and I could keep going down the line.
So does it, when you're reading it, does it have the address?
It has the address, and then I take it would be the receiver of the water bill's name, or who's ever home, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Whoever owns the home has that name on there. But yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to how that thing's reading. Cause 1 minute I'm up there and the next minute I'm down on South Hawk.
I
For
believe,
what?
it has to do with the stop numbers, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
Cause like I said, that was all set up before I was even here.
You think you would have done like a east half, south half, or north half, or west half, east half of the town?
Thing is, it picks up, if you're in like 7 spots, it picks the whole town up.
Really?
I remember that from 5 years ago. They said,
It's probably like your phone. It's good. In certain areas, it works a lot better than others. I mean, it's just a matter, because like he'll sit up here in the corner. I mean, you don't drive and read. You sit someplace, you park someplace and then it reads to you.
But then the one,
You could do it driving.
Get done reading this small block and then they have the map set up to put you down on old 66.
Right, yeah.
So physically you're like, okay, I have to drive down there.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't, I don't know. My first time doing it, I was like,
No, I think,
I gotta go
well, I
down
think
there.
Brian always did. I mean,
and then the house by the shop, did you get a reading? Cause I know Ashley tried past quarter.
Yeah.
And did you have to go right up to the house?
Yeah, and it didn't read, Rod Halverson's old house, that one.
No, the one right by my shop.
Oh, that one, yeah, you have to be like right by it. Yep, as soon as I pulled up a little bit closer, but the one,
Why is that?
I don't know.
Can get your warehouse, what?
And it's a brand new,
Three,
it's one of
times
the
away.
newest meters down there. So that maybe that's different than the old blue ones. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that,
The new gray ones might be more powerful.
yeah, it could be. I guess to tell you the truth, I don't really know enough about it.
And I wonder if my wireless down there is helping boost it and broadcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cause we've got a booster for internet down there. It might be pumping it out. I don't know.
and back to your shop, there's no form, I guess, with that address and there's no meter numbers or anything like that for if there is a meter in there.
Yeah, we got a meter from Brian.
Okay,
It's installed.
so I wonder if
Yeah.
maybe Jake, it's at your shop somewhere, but it's not in the book. Which would,
Yeah, I mean, I could do some more digging, that's for sure.
but we had that other instance,
Yeah. Brindley's.
yep,
I think it's a gray one though, because I know I have a blue one at my house. That's a little bit older.
Yeah.
I know it was brand new when we got it.
yeah.
So how are we gonna
Zero.
confirm how many we got total and how many we're not getting a reading on or getting?
well, it should give you the address in every one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The address pop.
So it's a matter of just checking the address. to-
So can you print out, give Jake a printout of every person and then go by and check them off?
Right now.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
To go through that thing, cause that's a process.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
Well, cause so when Jake reads and then we print it off, I print off what you guys see. And you just kind of glance over to see if there's any lows or highs spikes. And there was a list of those that were rating 0, so Jake went and reread. And what he got, which was some were different, some were not, some were just, they're not reading. So they got a letter that we have to come in, look at their meter, make sure, verify our numbers are right, maybe something's wrong there. Or if it's a meter issue. Because I know one resident, the whole time I've been here, 2.5 years, has been paying just the minimum because their meter doesn't read. And they wouldn't get a hold of the past maintenance guy to get it changed and just,
And you know the ones that are shut off, those few that are completely shut off.
yep. Yep, and if if they're shut off at the curb, obviously they're not running any water, but. Which I guess is another thing, if they're shut off at the curb, I know this was a discussion when I had my studio, are they being charged the minimums?
They're not.
Okay.
We found out we couldn't. We thought we should because we're providing
Service.
utility, but we found out that we couldn't do that.
Still charge for
So getting back to the top of the page,
garbage.
Tom,
Exactly.
if somebody, just say, use my mom, for example, doesn't go over 500 cubic feet, she's charged $725, and then she's charged $25.50, and then the two contingencies, so her,
And the 720 and the 2550 for the sewer minimum too.
yeah, I got that. So like an individual that does not use over 500 feet of water, which you, how could you get over 700 cubic feet of sewer if you didn't put?
Well, it's just, you haven't met the minimum then yet.
Right.
Sewer. So that would be the minimum charge. So there's a number of people that use 700 cubic feet. They're a little higher than the minimum in water.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, your mother's, for example, was a little higher this quarter than last quarter, because she used
Flowers.
700 or so, whatever, yeah. Yeah, but she didn't meet the minimum on the sewer. So she only got charged $25.50 on sewer.
But at the bare minimum, just bare minimum, under 500 and under 750. And then with the water and the sewer contingencies, their bill would be $112.75 a quarter if they stayed under those two minimums.
And plus.
No.
Refuge, yes.
107,
Taxes,
yeah.
Yep, so it's like
Refuse.
176.41, I think is what the,
it's that whole list of things
Yeah.
that are on the bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for water and sewer. Right, water and sewer, water contingency, sewer
Yeah.
contingency, right.
You said the minimum is what?
I believe it is 176.41.
Okay.
It's like the minimum.
Yeah.
Garbage, sewer.
That's for your taxes, the water, sewer, garbage,
Yes,
everything.
unless they have larger trash cans, then they pay more because their trash cans are larger. But
Yeah,
most
I mean,
people that. have large trash
160.
cans aren't meeting them or over the minimum.
So I remember calling Cheryl about that one time. We were gone for 3 months and we still had the minimum. And she goes, yeah, you pay the minimum whether you use 1 gallon or 499,
And I don't have it in here, but there's also another customer that's figured out a completely different rate for both water and sewer. So you'll have to look through each one.
Okay.
And you can see it as the minimum. It's the wrong minimum.
Okay,
The minimums are wrong.
okay.
Well, the school has a different meter too, right? It converts different. One is
The school's gallons.
gallons versus, yeah. There's
It got put back in gallons because we put a new one in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, it's gallons.
It's gallons.
Has to be, otherwise their bill will be $20,000 or something like that.
Yeah, and what is it, 7.5 cubic or gallons in a cubic foot, is it?
Pretty
What is
sure.
that?
Something like that. I can't remember.
Right,
Something like that, isn't
I
it?
used the exact formula anyway, and Anyway, yeah, there's an example there, I mean, they're not far off per quarter what they should be at, but one's higher than it should be, one's lower than it should be, Matter of fact, we might even, be a wash at the end.
Yeah,
I think there's other problems in there too, like it wasn't generating PTO correctly, or it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't
just
printing them
something's
out.
Wasn't deducting them, was it?
I don't remember, it wasn't deducting.
Wasn't deducting,
It
yeah.
was calculating correctly, but wasn't deducting, it wasn't showing the total on every check.
when Albert Kurt was here too. We went through because some of the commercials weren't being taxed at the right rate either. So we went in, when he was here, we kind of went in and adjusted some things. Not that that would affect this, but just there was some other issues that were in there.
That top line there, wouldn't the cubic or the minimums be the same? Why would the water be 500 cubic feet and 750 on the sewer? Because
That's what you guys said it at.
you're gonna charge by what went through there. So why is there a 250 gallon discrepancy?
I think it was to protect when, many years ago, whenever it was, when we increased the minimum on sewer, it was to help protect the minimum users,
Yep, yeah.
you know, so we raised, if I think what happened is that we raised the minimum cubic feet to get more of them up, you know, or more of them, keep more of them below the minimum. So all they would be charged is the 25.50.
It just seems to me that them would have to be, when you're figuring minimums, they'd both have to be this one figure or the other.
In the world of computers.
Because you can't get more sewer than the water that you sold them.
Yeah.
You know? So,
I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I suspect that's what we were worried about way back.
that Jeff Dale, rural water guy.
Yeah.
I wonder if he could share some information with Jake of smaller communities like ours. Maybe it won't even make a difference, but I mean, to me, that's weird that we got 250 more cubic feet of sewer than you got water. It's not possible. They should be the same minimums, you know, and it really doesn't affect it. Well, once they go over that, then it affects it.
Yeah, you'd have to run the ratio to see what it is, because maybe it's exponentially greater because the sewer's higher. If they use 600 and 600, you have to run the numbers once to see.
Yeah, maybe.
We were probably told what to charge by an engineer
I'm sure, yeah.
at one time, you know, during the lagoon times and all of that, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that.
That was way back after the lagoon was built. That was redone in 96. So in that middle 2000s, probably. And like you say, it was to protect wasn't protect, but it didn't want to up the charge on at that time, we had a lot of elderly people in town. And we didn't want to make that charge too high.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably why they got a different minimum
Yeah.
for water and sewer, yeah. Anyway, just think about it, I guess.
So can you go into Banyan and you can take everybody that's listed and make sure that it is 0.0345 for the water, and then make sure that they're the minimum would have to be on that Banyan account too, right?
It's all gotta be in there somehow. I don't know.
Gotta all be on there.
I don't know how it works, but I'm
Yeah,
just,
it's all, so it's all in the rates. We would just have to go in and check the rates.
Is that what it shows on that Banyan?
This, if you go into Banyans and you go into the rates, yes.
there's more to it than just a rate.
Yeah.
There's something else going on.
There's a multiplier or something not working.
Something wrong otherwise, because there's more to it. And it's very interesting, the 2 quarters, and I just wonder how long this has really been going on, you know, nobody's looked.
That's why it's got to be looked into. I mean,
Well, we looked,
somebody's got.
Is this actual one of Good Thunders or?
that's if you go into Banyan and you go into rates, yes. So how we set the rates.
This is how the rate is set.
Yes.
So this is for the water. Well, here, Tom, it's 0.0145. And it should be 0.0345, right?
And that's for who?
That's just what in that program
Yeah, but
for the water charge, right?
apparently it's not. running
So-
for everybody.
This would be,
Well, yeah, see, then the bottom one is the water. Well, that's,
I don't know if we want to spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out Banyan. I don't know.
see,
Somebody's
it's
got, I
showing
mean,
here.
somebody up here's got to be able to figure it out for.
Up
I
to
mean,
500, it's only that 0.145,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but
right.
then 501, it
Yep.
jumps to what you got on the
Yeah,
paper.
that's what it would be. See, the computer figures it out with the formula. If you multiply that by 500, you come up with 725.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that is.
That
So
might be-
then, yeah, because here it's got the 750 at the 3.4. And then it goes up to the 0.041
Right.
after that 751.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Your council, at least make sure the plan number is correct.
That's the easy thing to do. You just look at the water and the sewer, and after you look at them a little while, you realize that, well, yeah, that must be about right, because, you know, that's that much more. The higher, the more water you use, of course, the closer the two numbers get, but they never get together. You know?
right, yeah.
So go through all the counties, make sure water sewer contingencies on all of them are where they should be.
And I didn't find any issue with contingency or anything like that, but it's just something in that program is spitting out the wrong result. In these, at least, and these at least. And then we gotta make real sure that we're actually billing everybody.
Mhm.
Because like I've said before, a lot of people go into business and the reason they fail is because they don't collect. Gotta collect.
Like the daycare and, you know, that's just using that for example, the daycare and the church, do they have 2 meters?
Yeah.
Yep, so,
And the parsonage has a different meter.
So parsonage,
Yeah,
but I
three
think,
different, I mean, it was a school and the church and the parsonage.
do you get,
I guess I couldn't tell you if there's an
Pretty sure they
automatic
do.
meter for the daycare, but I know there's a hard red meter in the basement.
Unless it got piped different after things changed.
That meter
They
that's.
get 2 bills, that's all I can remember. I can't remember.
and like the Catholic church, that uses, you know, minimum,
Yep.
but does it show up? I
Yep,
mean,
That's
the
true.
church, the Catholic church, does that show up? You know?
it's in here.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yep, I remember seeing that on the reader.
I mean, you're gonna have to get all of them off of Banyan and then just drive by and make sure we got them all, right?
Yeah, actually, I think you're gonna have to make a special thing. I mean, like a special read, like a special.
Yeah.
And all this together and then go out and especially make sure that everything is by household almost, because there's residents out there that are, it doesn't make sense to me. That some do and some don't. And some reduced bill, I mean, it's just. It doesn't make sense, and it's just gotta be in Banning somewhere.
And I guess if you could email that Banyan, these examples, and they could take the computer over and say, oh yeah, we know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this would correct it.
And you say the budget's not affected with the data you're looking at. That has nothing to do with the budget program people are on.
Correct. That's a whole bunch of different entries in the bill.
Yeah,
You know, you debit and credit that and all that. I see all that. This is only figuring cubic feet,
okay.
period. This is just cubic.
Yeah, I'll email Banyan. I'll give them, send them this and start there and see what they can
Yeah.
figure out and take over and.
Yeah, because I mean, if you added, gosh, I don't know, do you think you could possibly say you could add $500 a quarter?
You might.
You know, well, that's, you know, another $2,000 a year. Well, some of these have been behind. How long we had Banyan in this reader? Got to be at least 4 years, don't it?
Yeah, well, it's been over 5 because at 5 it expired. So it's like 7 years we've had this reader now.
So, you know, you just adds up.
I would think if someone wasn't getting a bill, they'd call and say, hey, I'm not getting a bill, because eventually they're gonna get a bill and they're not gonna be happy about it. What do you think?
Well, we only have, what, 2 or 3 places that are totally shut off, right? One's down there where there was leaking.
We have,
Well, there's several over by the school that no one lives in are shut off too, right?
Yeah,
well, yeah, I guess, we have the 2 that have been shut off for a very long time. We've got the one on Main Street that leaked and is off. We have another one that, there's no one in it, so they turned it off at the curb on Sherman. But there's 3 or 4 on Hubble that are off because no one lives there.
Now, there might be no extra,
Yeah,
you know,
but I,
sorry, I just happened to remember the way you.
no, but I think we should maybe have that running list if there's no one in there and it's off, just so we kind of know. So we say, oh, there's 45, well, 23 of them don't have people in them there, that's why, so.
I think there's one right across the street that we can see that has 0 meter, right? I don't believe there's a meter in there, is there?
I don't think so.
That was taken out.
Is Jenny's old house shut off then too? I mean, that is, I don't
So
know.
we're talking about this one on the corner. I'm not sure if there's a new meter there or not, or Brian before he left.
Think.
I
I
don't,
thought it was taken out years ago.
I'm sure it was, but I'm saying I don't know if Brian,
Or do we get a reading on it?
Is this house in his name?
no,
That's a rental
and
property.
he's not there anymore.
Right, I think, I
But
could be wrong, but I almost remember there being, well, I can look it up.
I wonder if they got a meter when they had those people living there and they had some water?
they don't have one.
They don't have water there? Okay, I just,
I know it's not on the curb.
okay.
So I know that it's not on at the curb. I just don't know if there's a meter there or not. And the blue house on Main Street, Jenny's old house, yes, is off.
That's all, okay.
And I think they'll end up needing a new meter because of the,
Frozen, yeah, open hole cats, yeah.
So there could be at least 8 to a dozen that are totally shut off.
at least, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can go through and kind of make a list for you guys so you have it for the next meeting, or if you want it beforehand, we can do that too. That won't take very long.
Man, I just seen it. Went by here.
I don't think that one on the corner is giving a bill. It prints the outstanding. Not any additionals.
Well, it'll take some cross-referencing between Jake and Ashley, obviously, to know which ones are dormant, the ones that are actively paying.
That's 110 South Ewing, right?
No, that's 631 Main.
Front doors to the front.
Okay,
Wait, which one are we talking about? The one next door or the one on the corner?
well, I thought,
On the corner, 631 Main.
631 is the corner house.
okay, and so he is getting a bill. Isn't
There,
he?
oh yeah, next door he is.
Yeah,
It
that's what I
it's-
meant.
it goes to his name and then a copy goes to the landlord's name.
Okay, all right, so that brings up another question then. We'll
Disconnecting.
Lord, pay the back due?
The person that lived there is supposed to be paying it. So hopefully it is paid
How much is,
7, well, total now, well,
with the,
I think this is included, 782,
yeah, I think that's the correct number.
okay. $700.
And they have till the 25th, I believe. And then we're gonna do the notices and shut off and hopefully we beat before the cold weather.
so now that there's nobody there, does the city shut that water off? Does not allow anymore?
I don't think so.
You'd have to call the
property-
landlord
Unless
maybe.
they ask for it.
Yeah.
We never
No, I
did.
mean, shut it off because of a delinquent bill and it won't get turned back on and,
You have to go through due process like she's describing.
yeah. So we haven't gotten a list of overdoers. Is there quite a few again?
She had one last month in there and there wasn't much in there.
Yeah,
It was pretty current, actually.
yeah, there's more now that this one went up.
Yeah, but they still got time.
They just got them, yeah.
So, but like I said, after the due date, we'll do the whole past due notice, 2 weeks. If it's not paid, then the door posting will go on, which gives them, I think, an additional like 5 days is what we've been doing. And then if not, as long as the cold weather rule won't apply, they'll be turned off. And we've had to do it before in the winter and they pay.
All right. Well, that was a good discovery there, Tom. Took a lot of your time, I'm sure.
One other thing too, I think we need to be reviewing the water. There's a water bill out here on Main Street. It seems to be really high for residents. And I don't know if I'd have to go through the whole damn thing again. I don't want to do that, but you know, as you're looking, and I think you're gonna have to look. and that's the- Every quarter, every bill, make sure that, you know, they're right and you'll catch it because it's abnormally high.
Okay.
On Main,
Yeah. I think
That's how we caught the rental property over here, the leaking toilet. It was like $1,000 over that quarter. That leaky
it doesn't
toilet.
take much.
So you can catch them. It's what you're looking for is super high and low compared to last bill.
Mhm.
That's how
This
we,
one here, same, it's high again.
Okay.
You know, so you can't just look high and low, but you can kind of know in your head as you're looking through, you know, that, oh my gosh, why is that person, and maybe they do use.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
they might if they've got a couple families and a bunch of kids, you know, you just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but it just seems abnormally high.
They have a spouse who leaves the hose on all the time.
well, if they have a leaky toilet and they don't, or a water softener reach sticks on regeneration and they don't pay any attention to it, yeah, it'll kick up the gallons pretty quick.
You betcha, you betcha.
I'll double check on that one too then.
Yeah, we got hard water, so the flappers get hard, so people just need to put a few drops of food color in their tank. It'll come through pretty quick if it's leaking.
You bet.
It's a $6 part, you know.
All right. Thank you for all your effort. Anything else under miscellaneous? Anybody? If not,
So move.
first and second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion
Aye.
carries. Thanks, everybody.